Another day, another headline that distorts news about Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by again. If you tuned in a couple days ago, I released a video where I talked about how, for both Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, the media, if not outright lying about their campaigns and their policies and their vision and, their chances at victory, will use misleading headlines to craft a certain narrative. Because as we've talked about on that show, as I've talked about with David Dole, as Peter Coffin has talked about in a recent video on the way media constructs narratives, people often don't read past the headlines, and that the headlines play an immense role in prepping somebody for how they're about to interpret the information in the following article. And as we know, in a Twitter and Facebook and Reddit world, sometimes the headline is the only thing people read. It's the only thing people read, and then the engagement happens in the comment section of Facebook or of Twitter or of Reddit, and that's where it happens, and the headline is immense power. And so we have this article that was published today by Althea Raj. She's a writer at Huffington Post, and her headline states that the NDP leader has only attended one fundraiser this year, despite the party having difficulty raising money. So if you read that headline, what do you think? You think Jagmeet Singh is lazy? You think he's incompetent? You think that he's neglecting his duties? You think that he's not putting any effort into raising money? And that's the conception you get. But when you read the article, it goes to a point where it suggests very clearly that Jagmeet Singh has only kind of held one ticketed fundraiser, which is to say a fundraiser where you have to pay money to get in. And it was a relatively modest fundraising event in terms of access because it only cost $25 to get in, and not $1,000 or $1,500 or $500 as many liberal and conservative events are. So the narrative is actually quite different. The narrative isn't actually Jagmeet Singh isn't working hard or doing his fundraising responsibilities or working to build the war chest for the party in the upcoming election. It's that Jagmeet Singh isn't trying to trade exclusivity and eliteness for money, as you see from other political parties. And so what is actually a positive narrative about a party that's trying to fundraise differently is crafted in a certain way to make the leader look lazy and or incompetent. And it's such a troubling way of structuring it. Now, certainly, the NDP would have liked to have better fundraising totals by now. The party is struggling to a certain degree, and I don't think there's anything inaccurate at mentioning that. But to say that it's down to Jagmeet Singh's laziness or that it's because they're not having enough, big ticket fundraisers, I don't think is accurate. And I think it's misrepresenting the story at hand. So that's where we're at with things like this. Again, I talked about this with David. Peter Coffin talked about this as well. I noted that. And Peter was very kind to help a small YouTuber like me and referencing my video there. I really appreciate that. Where we've all three of us have talked about the ways in which, sometimes without lying, you don't need to always lie to mislead. You don't need to tell a outright whopper to take people in the wrong direction. You don't need to, give incorrect facts to give a narrative that isn't factual, where it's not a lie, but the narrative doesn't mesh well with the actual facts at hand. So where does the NDP go from here? I think this is an opportunity. I think this is an opportunity for Jagmeet Singh and for New Democrats to say, hey, look, you might call this laziness. Of course, that's not true. Jagmeet Singh has been attending meetings of New Democrats across this country where fundraising has taken place, but those events are not closed off to people who, for whatever reason, cannot donate, do not have the means or ability to donate. They should not be closed out from these events. The NDP is running a campaign on social, economic, cultural, and environmental justice, and that is incompatible in some ways with these big-ticketed, exclusive events. Jagmeet Singh and his team, they should lean into this and suggest, hey folks, we're not raising money off big-ticket events. Like Bernie Sanders, we want to raise money from regular people, donating what they can when they can. And they should make a campaign to say, ask for $20. Bernie Sanders, his recent average from his second quarter of this year was $19. He raised $19 per person on average. So maybe that should be a campaign for Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. Give us $19, we're going to raise that money, and we can keep our events open to everybody. Whether they're middle class, whether they're working class, whether they're well off, whether they're poor, it doesn't matter. anybody can come and share their perspective and hear their perspectives of other New Democrats. This is not a closed space. This is an open space, because my government will not be an exclusive preserve of the rich and well-connected and elite like the liberal and conservative fundraisers are. It'll be open to everybody like my fundraisers are. So I've started this off a little bit. I don't know if this will catch on, but upon seeing this article, and it made me a little angry, I decided to channel that positively. Not only did I make this video, this jumped right to the top of my queue, but I've decided to make an additional $19 donation to the New Democratic Party. You know, I have existing donations. I make periodic donations and donations to my local candidates when I can and how much I can. But I've decided to make an extra $19 donation, matching what Bernie Sanders has done. A little bit of cross-border solidarity and a commitment to show that the NDP, if we all work together as regular working class people, we can raise the money needed to defeat the Liberals and Conservatives in October. So again, guys, just on closing, be cognizant of the way the media is shaping the narrative of left candidates, especially Bernie Sanders in the United States and Jagmeet Singh in Canada, because they will use tactics like this. They will write pieces that, again, maybe don't have any factual errors, although this one really gets close to the line in some ways, but maybe they don't have any factual errors, but are crafted in a way to influence people against supporting, you know, social democratic or democratic socialist causes. Be cognizant of that. Again, be prepared to challenge those narratives. Be polite. Again, as I noted in my other video, don't always assume malice. In this particular case, I think it was a bit of a cynical article, a bit of a cynical headline. So, you know, I don't think this is purely an innocent mistake by Althea Raj and the editors at the Huffington Post. But be generous, be kind, but be firm. Let people know that the narrative that the NDP is inexistent, or that they don't have any ideas, or that their leader isn't working hard is 100% BS. Share the platform. Let people know that Jagmeet Singh is meeting with Canadians coast to coast to coast. Let them know that the NDP doesn't have these fundraisers not because they're not incompetent, but because they don't believe in this form of fundraising, because it's anathema to the society the NDP wants to build. That's what's up here. Let people know that. And if you do, you'll do your part. We'll all do each of our little parts to turn back the tide of this anti-NDP and anti-Bernie Sanders narrative that's so pervasive right now. Hey everybody, thanks again for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. Doing so really helps to spread the message, to let people know that there are, you know, left-wing voices on YouTube that are covering Canadian politics, and that they are here to offer a different narrative to both the existing YouTube channels, especially those on the far right, of course, but also the mainstream media, which is so lacking from time to time. And for the same reason, I would really appreciate your support on Patreon. That support not only brings a greater quality and quantity of content to this channel, but it also helps to build that ecosystem of left-wing YouTubers trying to change not only this platform, but the wider world that this platform influences. So if you want to see left-wing creators on this platform, supporting me on Patreon is a good way to help. Guys, I'll see you next time. Have a great one.